Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today we are splitting, and as I've mentioned in the last couple videos, I don't like splitting. It's one of my least favorite things to do in bees, just because it's always a mess when we do it, and it's just not my favorite. So this year actually has gotten a little bit better, and I'm not saying I'm enjoying it, but it's not my least favorite thing anymore. So basically, we were going to do a little bit of a video on what we're doing to prep for splits, and we hadn't been doing this last couple of years because, I don't know, we just haven't been doing it, and I'm really glad that we did it this year because it makes everything so much easier. But we were going to do a video on it and kind of show how we're doing it, but a lot of people have. I know Bob has done a video on it. That's where we really got it from, and was it Mike Berry? And Gus Mitchell, I'm not sure if he has a video on it, but I heard him talking about it on the live with the stream team last night actually, so you can always go check out their videos if you want a full walkthrough on that. We'll just kind of do a quick overview of what we really did, but basically our double boxes or double deeps here, what we did is we went through the whole hive. We all have kind of a little bit of a system of how we do it. How I do it, I go through the whole hive, take the empty frames out, and then just so that have food or whatever on it, and then leave the brood in there and basically count all the brood frames. I know we just went back through and counted all of them, but we're doing it again because we counted all of the brood frames that they had probably a couple weeks ago, and that's definitely changed from then to now, and so in a good way normally, sometimes not, but they all are doing really good, and so we count all the frames, and then we leave 3 frames, so we'll count them. And once we see 3 frames, we'll leave them in the bottom box, and that's what we call the parent hive, and so they'll get those 3 frames. And whatever brood frames they have then will go up top. And so basically we'll leave 3 frames at the bottom with honey frame, and then we'll take all of the rest of the brood up top into this top box. And so what we do, hang on, let's just go back one more time. In here, 3 frames of brood, a honey frame, then we do some drawn comb and some foundation, kind of whatever might be laying around from the last couple hives, put that in, and then we also go ahead and put a feeder in here. And so we do that, and then we put a queen excluder. We don't typically put feeders in the bottom, but we'll show you why we do that in a second. Put the queen excluder right here, and then top box is where all the brood goes. So if you have your 3 frames in the bottom and there's an extra like 4 frames, you just put those up top. Sometimes you have really strong hives like the one down there. There's like 9 frames, and you can put a bunch in the top, and basically that'll make a bunch more splits. So if you have 5 frames in the top, that'll make about 2.5, I believe, splits. And so that's what we did, and basically we did that with all of our hives that had over 3 frames because if they don't have any more than 3 frames of brood, then we can't split them, or we don't want to, just because we want to make sure that they're still strong and healthy. And so that's what we did. If you want a full overview, you can go watch some of those other people's videos. And then we also, if you don't find the queen, you're gonna have to shake all of the bees. But if you find the queen, what you can do is just put her in the bottom box and then put the excluder on top. But if you don't find her, what you'll have to do is shake all the frames that you're gonna put in the top box into the bottom box because you didn't find her, and you wanna make sure that she's in that bottom box so that when you come to make your splits, it's just a lot easier because you don't have to look for the queen, and you already have everything up top to make it easier to split. And so we've been doing that. We've already done 21 splits this morning, and so it went really quick, and we all had a system, and so I knew what I needed to do, and my mom knew what she needed to do, and Dad, and so it was really easy that way. But now we are just going to do a quick video and just kind of show you what we're doing here. And so let's do that. We have already done most of them, so we're just going to do this one here, and it really doesn't take that long. This one says plus 2 frames. I think that's what this is. We marked on top. This one over here, 5 frames. So basically there's plus 5 frames up top that we're going to take from. So anyways, there should be about 2, maybe 3 frames of brood up top that I'm going to take. Well, the way we're making our splits, actually I'll get to that once we start putting it in the box. Let's grab a box over here. So these are Pro Nukes. We haven't used these in the past, but we're using them this year. We actually got them from Paul Landsberg. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before, but he's a really cool guy, and I hope to do some more stuff with him in the future. But we got these from him just the other day. I think it was actually, yesterday? Maybe the day before. I don't know. I've lost track. But we got these. They're really simple to put together. And so we've been using these. We've been doing a couple other stuff, but mainly just using these. We're doing 4-frame, just 4 frames in here. We'll do 2 frames of brood. 5 frame? Oh, I just got corrected. I think it's, well, we're about to find out. 2 frames of brood, and then a honey frame, and then, yeah, foundation. Well, I was wrong, of course. We've got our foundation frames there, but we're gonna go ahead and open them up. We're not using the smoke today because we're not shaking any bees. We're taking the frames and moving them over, and the bees that are on the frames are what's staying in there. You can shake bees if you have to. Bees have been, I've said it in literally all the last couple videos, but not happy. They were completely fine this morning when we were making our splits, but now they are pretty testy. So this should be a fun video, just because we're not using any smoke. I haven't been doing a whole lot of the splitting. I've been doing a lot of this feeding and getting boxes ready, so I haven't really been getting to see how the bees have been acting. The only couple reasons I've been stung is because I've done it to myself by smushing bees. So let's see. Already super happy. I've got a lot of sugar on my hands right now, so they're kind of all over me, but let's just, everything in this top box is gonna go away. So we fed them, also wanted to mention that when we made these splits, when we did the whole queen excluder stuff, we put a feeder in the top and the bottom, and the one in the top was the one we fed and gave them some syrup. So it looks like they've taken all of that. We really didn't give them too much just because I think we did these ones yesterday. You can come back 2 days later, but we got half of them done one day and the other day. So this is coming back just the next day, but then some of the others that we did today was coming back 2 days later. So who knows if any of this makes sense. Hopefully it does, so you can kind of get something out of it. But let's just go straight here for the brood. There should be some honey frames in here, but looks like this is mostly just foundation over here. So let's pull this out. Yesterday was rainy and it was very, very cloudy. I don't think the sun really came out ever yesterday, and we were doing a bunch of bee work, so that was fun. But today I was actually just wearing the veil, but I've moved over to the jacket here. So I wasn't going to put any gloves on just because we're going to start with no gloves, and then we'll see what I'm wearing by the end of this. But this is a honey frame, so this is just full of food basically. Tiny bit of pollen. We're going to put this right here. We'll put the brood straight in the middle, and then honey frame, and then we'll do our foundation, which we'll show you as we go. We can use these 2 foundation frames put out here. There's also some extra. But yeah, some of our hives have a ton of brood that we're able to make a few splits off of. All right, so here's a brood frame. So it's not all capped, but there's a lot of larvae down in there. So this is a brood frame here, so that's one, and we'll put this right in the middle here. And then I believe this is also a brood frame right here. This one's pretty heavy. Yeah, so this is brood. That looks good. We'll go ahead and put this one in. So we're just doing 2 frames of brood. Everybody does their splits very, very differently. This is just how we do it. And if you don't agree with it, that's okay. You can go do whatever you want. But this is what we're doing, and it's what seems to work for us. And so, okay, we'll take this one out. I only need foundation now, so we'll just go ahead and take these and put it out here on the end. And then put the other over on this side. Okay, that one just got me in the finger. And let's go ahead and we need to feed them now. So there's a couple different ways you can feed them. You can do frame feeders. I'm not sure if a frame feeder would fit here. I haven't tested it out, but what we're doing is Ziploc. I've had a few videos on it in the past, but we're just gonna use some of these Ziplocs to feed them. So you can probably do some jar feeding and all that. I know the lids have something. I believe the lids have a spot where you can do some jar feeding or something right there. I don't know a whole lot on that, but we're just using these Ziplocs and just fill them up. Just because they don't have a feeder shim or anything, we're not filling them up even halfway. So I just have my syrup here. We'll come over here so you can see it. So about that much. You can see here. A lot of more people have been doing videos on these. I know this is something that people have been doing for a little while, but I'm starting to notice people do more videos on them. And then if you really want to know a whole lot, I have a bunch of other videos on it, but you just leave a little spot open there and get all of the air out. You want to make sure you feed your nukes because they're going to have a lot of nurse bees, mostly only nurse bees, and so not a whole lot of foragers to go out and get food, and they also don't really have a whole lot here, just a frame of honey pretty much. Let's go ahead and just move them over before we put this on. We're gonna move it right here. This time of the year we have boxes everywhere, nuke boxes. I mean, they're all over just because they'll eventually get moved into some other yards, but right now this is just where they're gonna be at. So then just kind of move them out of the way. This is where you could use, I'm not sure if you could use smoke for this or whatever. We just haven't been. Just kind of using my fingers and then slowly moving them out of the way. You just lay this on top and take a blade here. Let me grab it and just cut a couple slits. The last couple times we've been doing about 5, but we're only doing 3 on this one. So we'll just do one right here, not too big, 2 there, and 1 here. That's how I've been doing it. I'm not sure if it really matters, it's just where it's going. And then we'll put the lid on. Now, one thing that is always, well, actually before I get to that, we'll just mention this. There's these little spots right here that says vented, and this one says no vent, and there's also this little hole right here. We want to make sure we're putting it on the vented side. We're not fully clicking them down. I mean, some of them we have, like this side's in, but this one's not, just so it doesn't squish too hard on the Ziploc here. Now what we want to do is make sure that you always have the entrance open. And the back here, there's 2 spots you can have an entrance open on this side and this side, but we're going to do it over here. And so what you just do is slide it up. Always make sure you have your entrance open, because if you don't, then they'll die. So there we go. And now we're going to, I'm not sure what this is. I think this is just some honey in here. Let's just pull it out just to see. Yeah, so this is a food frame. And so we're gonna take this over to this nuke and put it in there. And then we need 2 frames of brood and our foundation frames. So we're using everything in this top box. And so we're just gonna empty this out quickly. But this is just a foundation frame. Put it in here. There's no order you have to put the frames in, so it's pretty easy. And we'll just take this feeder out here. The only reason this was in so that we could feed the top up here. And now we get to take this box off. So this top box is really only on here for maybe 2 days. And then we'll take our excluder off here. try and get the bees off of that, and then we'll feed them. So now, because we just took so much from them, we're gonna give them a lot of sugar here, about halfway. That's what I've been doing. And now we can close them up. So we use everything in that top box, and now we're just gonna move on to the next one, and that's just what we've been doing. So it's pretty simple, and it's honestly, it's a little bit of fun. It's not that hard, and it's just really easy now that we've been doing it this way. So bees are extremely happy. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on, close them up, move on to the next one, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our queen cells in on the nukes that we did earlier this morning, so they know that they're fully queenless. They know that they're queenless pretty quickly, and so we're gonna go do that in a second here. We'll film video in just a little bit. All right, back over here with our cell builder, which has all of our grafts in it. I know we didn't get a full 60. I grafted 60 cells, and I don't know how many we got officially. It was really hard to count, but it was definitely not 100%, which is totally fine, totally normal. But let's go ahead. If you want full videos on how we built the cell builder and how we do the grafts, I'll leave the link right here so you can check it out. But we're gonna go ahead and open it up, and we're gonna take I'm just gonna take 2 cells first, and just to kind of show you what we're doing, and then eventually, once we're done filming, we're gonna take the whole frame out and just quickly blow through all of these nukes that we just made, or splits that we just made. Can't remember, what are we at, like maybe 40? Maybe about 40 splits, so we'll have to give those. I'm pretty sure we have definitely enough cells for that, but we also have another yard that we're gonna have to split, so we'll see if we made enough queens, but we're about to find out in a little bit. So we'll go ahead and open them up. We only have just one hive left to split, and it is a very big hive. Can't remember, there was a ton of brood, a bunch. And they're also our meanest hive. So I am not doing that one. I made it up for doing a bunch of other ones. So Dad's doing that one, dealing with the mean hives. They will be requeened pretty soon here, hopefully. I think that's what we're doing today, actually. We're gonna just tear them down completely, and then we'll smush the queen and requeen them. We've been doing that a little bit today. There was one just behind you that we requeened. Just smashed the queen and put a new one in. We'll put a cell in there just because we don't want to keep that going. Whether they're mean or she has a shotgunny pattern, so like her brood pattern's just not good. And these frames, this is a, what was it, 7 frame box, and it all fits completely, but it's just a little tight, so it's kind of hard to pull these frames out. I've been pulling a frame out and then the graft, but we're just going to go straight in for the graft here. We did have a cell just yesterday that we went ahead and checked the graft just to kind of get a rough count of what we had, so we can know how many splits to get and to make. And there was one that looked like it had already emerged, and that's never good because she will tear down all of the cells, but I don't think that's what happened. I think it was just a dead one, and the bees cleaned her out because the cells are still there, and she would have torn them down pretty quickly, I believe. So cells are all there, and they should be fine. But that was just one thing we noticed, and yeah, so you got to be careful for that. But the main key is just to try and do your best to graft all the same larvae, and because I would have had to graft a really, really old larva, and I don't typically do that. I like to get the younger stuff because it's easier for me that way. But we're just going to take the brush so you can kind of see these. They're completely capped. They should come out on Saturday, and today is, what's today, Tuesday? Thursday, yeah, well, same thing. Anyways, so here you can see, we're just using the brush. You don't have to use a brush, but it's just easiest. So there is the cells, and like I mentioned, they should come out on Saturday. And so we might feed them maybe soon, like today or tomorrow maybe, but after that we're not going to touch them until basically the queens have emerged and hopefully have gotten mated. I'm not sure the date on that when the queens will go and get mated, but we're going to do 2 on video here, and so what I'm going to do is just There's a couple different ways you can grab it. I'd go for the back and just pull it towards me. So I'll just do that. Grab it up at the top of the cup just because that's not the wax and it won't get smushed. So if you're okay to hold that, Mom, let's just pull this one. Just like that. And then it's a fun job when you're kind of doing it on your own here. Let's see, just carefully put this back in. Don't want to drop this. Once the cells are capped, they're normally pretty good. You don't want to be careful with them for sure, but when they're not capped, it's definitely a risky game to play with them, because especially if they're through the stage of when they're getting their wings and everything, you don't want to mess with them at that point. I'm not exactly sure. There's a calendar that you can get probably off the internet. There's one that we have, it's like a little board that you can get to kind of know when the cells will emerge and how they're growing, stuff like that. But anyway, we'll go ahead and open this up here. Just open this one. You don't have to pull any frames out. You'll just have to kind of scooch them over, and we're just going to place it right in between the brood frames. Wow, look at that. We already put this on this morning, and this is basically dry. There's just a little bit over in this corner. So we'll come and probably give them some more because they're going to need that. If you don't feed them, they won't make it. But what we're going to do is just put it right down in here. So we've got our cell. Looks like a nice cell here. And we'll just split these frames a little bit. Put it right down in here. I like to get her in there pretty good. And then we'll just slowly push together just to where it's holding by itself. You don't want to smush it too much. Earlier I mentioned that you might be able to fit a feeder in here, but I learned quickly that you can't because there's little spots over here that make it to where you can't add anything else. So just wanted to mention that because I noticed that just a little bit ago. All right, and then we'll close them up. So it's as simple as that for putting the cells in. Click that in, and then we'll just do one more quickly. I've also eaten this up. We really didn't do it to where the splits were too big. There was just one over there that I split a little too much on the cuts here. That was an accident though, and so that one, I think we ended up just taking that one off and putting a new one on. But I don't think we made them too big to where they took it too fast. I'm not 100%. So I'm gonna just move the Ziploc down a little bit so I can get it more in the center here. We'll probably just take this Ziploc out. I could just take it out now, but there's some comb right here, so I'm not going to put it there because it won't go in smoothly. So we'll just put it right here. And then push the frames back together. There we go. It's a little crooked there, but it should be okay. Not a whole lot the bees can do at this point because it's already been capped, but they'll keep it warm and everything. So that's it. We'll go ahead and put this lid back on, and now we are going to take the frame out, this grafted frame where all the grafts are on, and we're just gonna blow through all of these here. We've gone through how we make our cell builder, how we graft, and how we do our splits. So that's full walkthrough of what we're doing this time of the year, and they will be mated not very soon. Actually, it'll take them a little while. Weather's not the best. Today was really nice, actually. It got really warm and hot, which I'm over here complaining about the heat, and Ian's over there with a crazy amount of snow. I actually feel kind of bad for him, but even though I love snow, hopefully his bees do good this year. But anyways, so that's it, I think, for today's video. And if you have any more questions about it, make sure to leave them in the comment section. I'll do my best to get to it. And if there's anything else you want to see on our splitting, grafting, or even cell builder, I don't know if we're going to do any more. I know we're going to do some more grafts, but I'm not sure we're going to make another cell builder. So anyways, we might graft it later this year. I don't know. We grafted pretty late last year, actually. Anyways, enough of me talking. Thanks for watching. Follow along for more bee adventures, and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.